So how did you guys meet?
Well, me and him, I met him he was in the street, homeless, cardboard box, skitting, scooting around. I said, you got talent. I scooped him up, gave him a career.
Was it true the first thing you ever played on was like a Black Flag tribute?
It was really ironic because the parallel between, this band and me and Dillinger, and Black Flag and Henry Rollins is really weird in a lot of ways. The first thing I recorded was in Ben's bedroom, and it was a tribute to Black Flag, and we did Damaged 1 and Damaged 2 in his bedroom. So
some people say, like, how could it be the same? I'm like, it's better because they have a duty to like live up to their younger self of what they thought this band was and should be. And like,
he saw Black Flag as almost like a caricature of what it was. Like, he saw it as being, it was violent and extreme, but he saw it as being insanely violent and insanely extreme. So when he joined the band, he made it that.
Like Henry Rollins and the Ruts.
yeah, exactly.
What did sort of like Henry Rollins and that whole sort of punk ethic sort of teach you about music? Like, do you come from that same place?
We all came from the New York, New Jersey, DC area where there's a lot going on and a lot of bands, the Cro-Mags and the Bad Brains, living in the suburbs and right outside of the city and having all this crazy stuff going on all the time, and like being able to sneak into the city and see all this crazy, dangerous, like unpredictable subculture in music was extremely had a huge effect on me. And like I said, the metal world was what it was, but it was the hardcore and punk world that really shaped the attitude of like just the work ethic and the attitude of like you should be here to play and to kick ass and to like have a cathartic outlet for for all your emotions.
So I think our live performances are what to me is the embodiment of catharsis, and I can't imagine performing any other way. And that's what's crazy is like for all these injuries I have and like how crazy people say we are on stage, and people are like, how do you do this every night? And I don't know how to perform any other way. This is pretty much what I've been training myself to do now for like the last 8 years almost of my life.
How are you sort of feeling like, 'cause since you were sort of came through sort of playing like shows with Mr. Bungle sort of thing, how has your sort of attitude changed over this time?
It's funny because I was talking to actually Bear from Mr. Bungle, who played horns last night with us on a couple of songs, and we were talking about just like old times, and we were talking about Mike Patton and things like that, and the experience that we had doing a record with him and stuff, and I think honestly now I just I don't know, I feel like we were talking about how the respect that we have for each other, because I was like, when we did the record, I wasn't like starstruck. I was like, this is what I want. No, that sounds weird. I don't like that, and he was like, well, yeah, because nobody does that to him, and that's why you guys still have a relationship and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I mean, at this point in my career, I don't care, It's like, we got to make great music, and we got to do good things, and if people are going to be assholes, then goodbye, It's like you get to the point when you've been playing in a band this long where most of the world defines you by your band, and if you suck, then you suck. If you did a good record, then you're a good person. You know what I mean? And like, there's like 4 people who are not like that in my life, and I know who they are, and so it's like I'm fine with that, and it's cool.
So what's happening with metal? What's happening with Meshuggah?
Well, check this out. We just came back from Japan, and we played with At the Gates. First show in 12 years we played with them. It was pretty amazing. And Mayhem. The guy got on stage with a pig head and a couple hoofs, and he cursed the stage every night, and somehow we still managed to perform.
Mayhem goes out of the way to be like super scary, like when they come on stage it sounds like a tomb is opening and there's like tons of steam, and for a second you're actually scared because the guy that you thought was super cool backstage now looks like Ursula from The Little Mermaid, and there was a pig's head on stage and hooves, and it was really weird, and then like he's got like this wine or blood or whatever, it's supposed to be a cup, and he's pouring it on the earth, like on a globe, like on the stage. But they could be scary, but it's not scary when the globe is actually a beach ball of the world. Like the brightest color.
Globe with pink and shit on it.
The whole stage is theatrics and pigs' heads and dead animals and makeup and scariness, and then there's a bright world on the stage that looks like it would have been in like the Michael Jackson, black or white video.
How healthy is metal these days, judging from those shows? And
It was pretty cool. I mean, I felt the faith in the old school, one of my favorite bands growing up was Deicide. I know about Satanism, a little something about Satanism.
a little something about Satanism.
Something about the Satanism cause. So,
did you guys ever add that sort of element to your show?
When we played one show, System of a Down, the kids hated us so bad they were throwing chicken legs at us, which is kind of like a hoof in a way. And Greg caught one and stopped singing for about 20 minutes and ate it.
And how did that chicken leg taste?
It was delicious. I was so hungry.
How did you meet Serj?
Serj?
Yeah.
Well, we played with System of a Down 10 years ago, almost exactly. We did a European tour. The toxicity of our city just come out. And they had that song, Areolas in the Sky. I love that one. And it was amazing because at that point, basically all we had out was like Calculating Infinity, and which sounds like, a mess to most people. It just sounds like garbage. So we got to play that record in front of like the most biggest popular radio band in the world at that point, and all these little mall kids were coming out just like, ugh. Like when we started playing, and we got at one point the boos were so loud I had to put my ear up to my amp to play because I couldn't even hear. We played in front of 12,000 people in Italy and sold 2 T-shirts. And then afterwards me and Greg walked around handing out stickers, and everyone who got them were like, oh, that band was horrible. They suck,
It's funny because we had never played a show that big, so we're like in our heads, we're like, if we even sell a T-shirt to like 2% of these people, they were gonna sell like 1,000 T-shirts. And we got the sheet at the end of the night. We were like, 2?
Somehow
like we sold $40 in merch. There were 10,000 people here, Like,
Max Cavalera actually said that working with you was one of his favorite collaborations of all time.
Yeah, I met him at a Deftones show. I didn't meet him, but I saw him at a Deftones show in LA. And he was like, hey, I'm actually in LA right now recording a record. Do you want to come do a song with me? And I thought he was just going to have the whole song already written, and he was going to be like, here's your verse, sing it. And when I showed up at the studio, he was like, here's the song, and he played it, and there's no vocals. And I was like, oh, all right. Like, what's up with the vocals? He's like, we're going to write them. And I'm like, when do they have to be written by? He's like, today. And I'm like, well, when do they have to be recorded by? He's like, today. I'm like, wait, well, what? Like, I'm like, we got to go get a notepad right now. Let's go. And like, put it on loop. And we just sat there and with a notepad. And it's crazy because at the time I was like in such hustle mode. It's like, shit, this has to be good. We got to get it done now. And after the fact, I was like, you know what? That is kind of crazy that I was sitting next to Max Cavalera with a notepad and like being like, no, don't, this is going to be better. Let's say it like this. And then he'd be like, no, this is better, And like I was like, a couple months later, he kind of called me and was just like, if you, or like, if you want to do that album, I'm still joking around, and I really thought he was joking. And I kept it going, I was just like, yeah, you let me know if you want me to come out to Phoenix, I'll come out anytime. I just like the idea of collaborating. Collaborations are fun, and you learn something about yourself. You grow a little bit as a writer.
You've got some collaboration things going on with the guys from Mastodon and Jane's Addiction stuff. Where's that at, sort of thing?
Oh, actually, me and Brent, this is actually really cool to be touring so much with Mastodon. We've been doing a lot of touring with Mastodon, and then being in here with Brent, the other night in the hotel when we were working on it, which is such a great thing that technology has brought us to that point where we can actually make music just on the road or whatever. It's those kind of things that make me realize, man, I'm glad I didn't go be an accountant or something, because these are amazing opportunities, or a psychologist or a gynecologist for that matter.
Well, I'm sure you get your practice.
Yeah,
Damn sure.
Oh yeah, you're the professional over here, are you?
We don't get paid for it. It's all amateur.
I know it's hard to put music into words, but can you?
I get a lot out of just life experience in general. I'm a very sensory person, So whether it's like listening to music or working out or being really physical on stage or fucking, drugs or sex or whatever it is, like I feel like I'm very sensory oriented. I get a lot out of extremes. I don't get a lot out of moderation, and I feel like I need to go really off somewhere, whether in any direction, whether it's being really controlled and working out all the time, or whether it's like having a crazy fucking night, or whether anything, whatever. And I feel like I get a lot out of that, and I bring that back, and then I have more to write or more to draw from and things like that.
Hunter S. Thompson style.
Yeah, it really is that way.
Gonzo journalism
in life.
Yeah.
You just kind of got to wing it and know that you're going to land on your feet.
Yeah.
About everything in life, and that's
even when you leap into the stage and stuff and like jump off a giant drum riser.
I feel like life to me is exactly the same as I play on stage.
I love being inspired by people. Like I love whatever it is. I'm like, holy shit, that inspires me so much. I want to write. I want to do this. I don't care if it was like just because they worked really hard or they took a drug once or they fucking to me it's not about being the sponge. It's about being the ocean.
Yeah.
And an ocean doesn't know it's an ocean.
Essentially, you guys share that it's actually all about being in the moment, however you get there.
Exactly.
We're backstage at Soundwave Sydney with a few legends of heavy metal, if you will. Alex Skolnick of Testament.
More of a leg end.
Leg end, if you will.
Leg end.
Ben Weinman of Dillinger. Now, you actually introduced these guys at the Metal Masters. How did you meet?
I was a massive fan forever. There's something unique about these guys, just something tasty about the note choices that really struck me. And then to hear later that he was doing all this jazz and stuff like that, it totally made sense.
Yeah, we had this great talk in Poland, and we realized, we're both sort of, off the beaten track. We sort of connected on that, and that was the first time I heard these guys play, and totally dug the show, and great musicianship, and also one of the most high energy shows I've seen. Yeah.
What was the first solo you guys both fell in love with?
Probably something on a Michael Jackson record, because that's what I grew up in the 80s.
I always liked the solo from Taxman. And I found out that wasn't even George.
My favorite guitar solos are always Paul's bass lines.
Do you know what Oderus said yesterday? He said the Beatles and Helter Skelter invented heavy metal. What do you think?
I agree. Yeah, that's
100% agree with that.
It's true.
Glad it's a consensus.
Somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, there's full screaming in that song.
Yeah.
Full on, more screaming than most bands who full-on screams in that song.
Oh, and the tone.
Actually, our YouTube channel is named after Chuck Billy.
No way.
Yeah,
Really?
and everyone's like, you're really losing a lot of promotion by not calling it the Dillinger YouTube channel. We're like, we don't care. We need to honor him. Because he's just like an amazing, massively impressive Indian who keeps it real and uses half a mic stand. And this is before we even knew each other. We were such massive Testament fans. We called our YouTube page Chuck Billy Tone Pole. You can be a true uncompromising artist and still make a business out of it.
Yeah.
But you just have to recognize that that is your product.
Yeah.
You know, you are the alternative to what's on the radio. You are the alternative to what's massively, wildly successful. You are a niche market. And once you realize that and you focus on that and you stay true to who you are and what your intention is and you know exactly why you are doing what you're doing, then you can really gain the trust of people.
Yeah.
And change the world.
What are the most important lessons you've learned?
Know why you're doing what you do first, and then worry about the what later. So, like success or money or fans, that's all byproducts of your true
Being true to
yourself, understanding what you do, why you do it, why you exist, what you're trying to achieve. And when you actually walk the walk and talk the talk, the rest just comes.
What's been one of the most important things you've sort of learned as a drummer?
Oddly enough, I have to say breathing. Breathing is super important to playing drumming, especially when you're playing in extreme music. You never want to hold your breath. You want to breathe through everything. And a practice I like to do is inhaling on a certain count and extending the duration of the exhale.
Yeah.
And for instance, there's one blast beat in one of our songs called Panasonic Youth that over the years of playing it, I've kind of even incorporated breathing as a fifth limb, so to speak, into playing.
It's a very physical instrument.
I sweat profusely playing a blast beat for 16 seconds more than running 8 miles on a treadmill.
Billy, what was it like kind of coming into this band and how this particular band's philosophy and lifestyle and shit?
Oddly enough, the philosophy and attitude was easier to adapt to than the music itself. You know what I mean?
Most important thing first.
Yeah, and I feel like right away when we met, we definitely vibed on the same philosophy and same attitude, which was great, and it started a great foundation for a relationship that's lasted already 5 years and still going strong.
I love making music with him, man.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's true. That's the great thing what he just said, that he figured out he adapted to the philosophy and the ethic of the band first, and then the rest is just skill and technique. I mean, anybody can learn that technically, but what we do is not about craft, it's about art. And you have to have a certain amount of skill to do what we do,
and dedication as well.
And dedication, but
and discipline.
It's the intent and why we do it, and the actual ethic and for the whole thing and what we're trying to put forth that makes us what we are.